so on and so on. And incidentally, I will make now a critical point at some of the post-colonial guys. The big question is, do we remain Marxists in the sense that we see with all its horrors this passage through the 0 point of Cartesian subjectivity, which means this subject reduced to poor, as Marx said, capacity to work? Is this a necessary step towards some new freedom, as Marx put it? Or can we play a certain anti-colonial game and claim that, no, the way to resist global capitalism is to refer to remain rooted in local traditions, which are, again, the last point of resistance towards global capitalism? I remain a Marxist here. In what sense? I think that it's totally wrong to perceive global capitalism as some kind of abstract universality threatening particular ways of life, and then if we stick to our local traditions, we somehow subvert it. I think that, again, I already mentioned, Kim, your big boss, Modi or other. First, I claim he is the guy for today. If there is a proof of anything in last decades, it's that capitalism is immanently multicultural. It works perfectly with different traditions. That's why I think and you know who knew this? All true authentic fighters for liberation knew this. In South Africa, Mandela, with all his limitations, warned all the time against this idea of some Africanness, authentic African roots, and so on. No, and it's interesting, there was only one political figure in South Africa who did follow this way of black authentic roots. It was Buthelezi, the one who was patent corrupted by the white apartheid. Listen, one of my most horrible readings was a brochure when I was young from South African apartheid government, which is the most disgusting multiculturalism I ever read. They said, we could give blacks the freedom to vote, but this would be horrible. Blacks have, I mean, it's disgusting what I will say now. They write, blacks have such wonderful local culture, hot, Bushman, Hottentot, and so on. And if we simply give them the same freedoms as us, we will lose all those authentic cultures, and so on and so on. I mean, that's today's global capitalism. They love local traditions and so on and so on. Capitalism works perfectly with that, which is why I think this is what is happening today. That's why anti-Eurocentrism is so popular. Because today, capitalism no longer needs even democracy and so on. The capitalism which works better and better is like China, for example. I love China in a terrified way. Why? Because, you know, once I had a debate with Fukuyama and I told him, okay, you won capitalism, but you have to admit one thing, and laughingly he admitted it. He told me, I told him, you have to admit that, but communists, where they survived, are today the best managers of capitalism. And it's true. Who can do it as good as, I don't know, Vietnam today, China, and so on. So again, I claim that, this is for me, again, the big choice. I don't think, again, that this idea of local traditions resisting and so on, Mandela knew this. My other hero, how is he called? Malcolm X, you know, Denzel Washington in the film, to speak in common Hollywood language. He was a great guy for me. You know why? Because, you know what does it mean, Malcolm X? X stands for the lost roots, no? They were stolen from, kidnapped, whatever, from Africa like slaves. But Malcolm, so we have no roots. We were torn out. But Malcolm X's ingenious idea was, I paraphrase it, of course, let's not get caught in that stupid game of, did you see Roots, Alexis Haley, the TV series? Let's go back, search for our African roots. No, why don't we use the fact that we are deprived of our roots as a unique chance to build a new free universality, much more free and emancipatory as that of the white people. And that's why, maybe he was wrong, but that's why he became a Muslim. Because with all my criticism, I don't have any problem to offend all religions. But I always liked one thing in Islam, this idea of ummah, community. You know what it means originally? Look at it, it's very interesting. The other two religions of the book, that is to say Judaism and Christianity, are more or less religions of the family, social hierarchy, you know, family links. Islam is fundamentally, originally a religion of orphans. You know all this, you know how Muhammad himself, before he became blah, 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 he was an orphan. You already have this story, how is it, Sarah, the wife of Abraham, when, no, he wasn't able to get a child, so you know that story, then Abraham screwed a slave. But yeah, and then he was thrown out, escaped, so that orphan is the original zero-level Arab or whatever, no? So what I'm saying is that Malcolm X got this, that for him, he wanted a new starting point, a community built from zero without any traditional roots, and that's why I'm not a Muslim, I'm an atheist and so on, and I'm often quite critical of Islam. But what I'm saying is that this is the reason why, and now I will enter, and with this I will finish, the prohibited territory. It's prohibited, but I'm here to offend you, sorry. That's, if you ask God, why did you create me? To offend you. That's why I'm here for Ambedkar against Gandhi, I'm sorry to tell you. Because I read a lot of stuff, and listen, they convinced me. For example, do you know that Gandhi in South Africa, before he fought against British domination. But my God, read his texts. I did it. How he fought. His idea was not we are all equal. He just wanted the Indians to be admitted into the white section. He explicitly posited black people as outsiders and so on. And that's why, I don't know if this is true, but when I was here 3-4 years ago, I met some really the lowest one, the one who are cleansing toilets here, the lowest of untouchables. And they told me a wonderful thing. They told me, we prefer English. I asked them why. They told me not because of colonization, but because they told me the languages that we have here have all these social hierarchies that you mentioned before are so much inscribed into them that for us it's much easier to assert equality by speaking in English. Now you will say, but this is the language of colonization. Well, it's up to you to decide here. My point would be, I betrayed my nation in the same way. My natural language is Slovene. I only speak about private things like food and cheating and toilets in Slovene. Theory is in English, and I think that it's very ambiguous here, things. I think that, okay, it would be a typical pseudo-philosophical thing to say, to think clearly, you have to think in your maternal tongue. But I'd say maybe, but maybe not. Maybe to really think, as Hegel knew it very intelligently, thinking always means thinking against the language. This is a very deep insight of all true philosophers, that language by itself is lying, embodies all the prejudices. That's why Hegel, as pure rational philosopher, you must notice this if you know him, likes so much this play with words, ambiguities, because you must somehow use language against itself, no? That's why, again, okay, I talk too much.
Okay, great. All right, I'd like to open up to the audience.